your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, this is the Consumer Quarterback Show with Brandon Rhymes. Brandon Rhymes is out today. My name is James DeJerome. I'm the executive producer here of the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're going to give you the same quality show we always do. Brandon made sure that we take care of you guys while he's out. You know, the Consumer Quarterback Show is a team. We get together a bunch of business owners in the Bay Area, and they come on the show to provide a little information, some knowledge to empower you, make your dollar go farther in the marketplace here. So in addition to the partners that we have on the team, we have sponsors as well. Of course, we have a bunch of great sponsors for the Consumer Quarterback Show. I want to introduce you to Jade's Premium Quality Cleaning. Jade's Premium Quality Cleaning is a relatively new sponsor for us, minority-owned business, female-owned business, and it's a family. They come right out to your house, take care of all your cleaning needs, and they're a family. They work together great. There's no issues with anything going on with those guys. You want to get to know them, and what a great lady she is, and her kids came on the show. So cute. So give them a call. Any of your cleaning needs, any of your properties, Jade's Quality Premium Cleaning. And of course, Brandon, member of the Platinum MVP team, the owner of the Platinum MVP team, and a Keller Williams agent. He's always got properties for you to put up. Johnny, right here in studio, is going to throw one up there for me. 1010 Bay Esplanade, Clearwater Beach. 4.3, almost 4,000 or 3,000 square feet, two-car garage, private apartment, and a sun deck. Man, that's a nice-looking kitchen, too, all white with the new white cabinets that we talked about with Chris Robinson, one of our new partners. Everybody loves those white cabinets. Man, that's a good-looking property at 1010 Bay Esplanade in Clearwater Beach. What else you got for me, Johnny? All right, here's another one, 8001 U.S. Highway 301 South in Riverview. These are two commercial buildings. You got 33 parking spaces. Boy, you can put a lot on that. It's a busy corner lot. There's a traffic light right there in the corner, so you're going to get some good exposure. So commercial side also with Platinum MVP team and Brandon over there. 8001 U.S. Highway 301 in south of Riverview there. That is a good-looking piece of property and a great investment property for someone looking for an investment out there. Okay, today on the show we've got our real estate team, our A team there. We got Diane Vance from Fairway Independent Mortgage. She's joining us. Diane, you there on the phone?
I am, James. Good to be here.
Thank you so much for coming in today and sharing your knowledge with all the folks out there. And, of course, in studio with me here in our Salem Media Group studios is Ray Hall. How you doing, Ray?
I'm doing great, James. How about yourself?
Very good, very good. So I wanted to start with Diane and just talk a little bit about what's going on. She always gives us the latest market updates and all that stuff, and then we kind of get into some details about that. But what's going on in your world, Diane?
Well, it's very busy still. Market is good. People need properties. Again, properties are going very fast. So I know Ray's as busy as we are. And so it's important for people, if they are wanting to buy, it's still a good time to put your house on the market and move up. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about how to generate a credit score, because there's a lot of misconceptions out there about credit scores and FICO scores and what they are.
Yeah, we mentioned a little bit in off-air conversation that I was naive enough to think that having no debt made me have good credit. Since I have no credit cards, I have no credit card debt, man, I look like a great credit risk. Not so much. I went to the bank. They said, you have no credit. It's the opposite there.
Yeah. It is true. Now, we can actually work with sometimes we can work with people like that. We can build a credit score through their rent and their utilities and things like that. But what you often find is those folks also, they may pay cash for stuff, or they may have it in the spouse's name or the parent's name or something like that. But in order to have a valid credit score, the credit report must contain enough information. So to do that, the consumer must have at least one account open for 6 months or more, and at least one account that has been reported to the credit bureau within the past 6 months. And if somebody is deceased and you are like a co-signer or something like that, that actually doesn't help you. It actually kind of hurts you. It doesn't happen often, but we have seen it. But the minimum criteria may be satisfied with a single account or multiple accounts. One thing that there's a big misnomer out there as well, James, not only no credit scores, but so people, I tell people, all you really need is one. Just use it minimal, not more than 25% of your limit. But go ahead and do that. And if they have trouble getting a credit card or something like that, they can always do a secured credit card to start. and that will help build the credit. But one thing you don't want to do, we've had several customers, they're getting ready to buy a house, they pay off all their credit cards, and they close their accounts. Don't close your account.
Don't do that.
Do not do that, because what happens is the credit bureaus, I'm older and I've had lots and lots of credit in my lifetime, and I've kept the accounts open, so it looks at history, and it looks at, I've actually been able to handle credit, and I've actually paid it off and things like that, but I've still kept it open. So, I have a very high credit score because I'm really good about that. But one of the secure credit cards out there is, it's called an Open Sky Visa, and you can actually register online, and they'll give you you basically the way a secure credit card works is you can deposit $200 in on the credit card, and then you're going to actually go ahead and I also it's going to report to the bureau, and you want to keep it low. You don't want to take it up to the $200 limit. You want to keep it very low. I also have a local friend that works for one of the local banks that actually also does that for my customers. So you can actually do that, and it helps you build credit. There's various FICO scoring models out there. The credit, so people get really confused because they go out and they look at Credit Karma, they look at, their credit cards for their FICO credit score.
Right.
Well, the more, there's different algorithms, and the mortgage algorithm that we use is called a FICO score to actually Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion are the three credit reporting agencies, right?
Okay.
And they use different FICO scoring. However, the bank scores and the auto scores, they use something different than it's all about the algorithms and the scoring model that the mortgage lending uses versus those others.
Hey, Diane, have you seen folks that come into a real estate transaction and try to hide a bad credit history or a particular transaction they don't want you to know about, and then that ends up crushing the deal later on? You're not going to get it past somebody, right?
No. So there's no, I'm not. I actually very disappointed if that does happen, because hopefully, so we have questions that we ask up front. For instance, our biggest thing that comes up, I will tell you, is student loan debt, and one of the questions: have you ever had a federal loan in default? Well, if it is in default, so we do a couple of things when somebody comes in and let's say they apply for an FHA loan, we actually run a national report, and it comes up and tells us whether or not there's a defaulted student loan. And I'm not sure why, but recently that has happened a lot. I'm not sure if it's something to do with COVID, and when they put people on on the forbearance, automatically did that for student loans earlier in the years, whether it picked up some, but some of these are really old, and some are, I had a customer, he had no idea. Yeah. He thought his parents had, paid it off. And he actually had them send him the proof, but he could not get a loan until it's actually out of default. And actually, they will take it out of default once you pay a certain period of time. They will end up taking out of default, but that you cannot get a loan if you have a federal student loan that is currently in default. So if you know of that, make sure you do that.
Yeah, I can imagine. And working in college athletics, I used to see that a lot of times where people would think that the debt has been forgiven, or it's not going to be effective, or it's somehow separate from their additional credit score, but it's rolled into everything.
It is. Well, this one in particular must have been so old that it wasn't on the credit report at all. So I was really surprised when we pulled the report. So we do a couple of reports up front. One is called a fraud guard. That will pick up if there's any, if there's any past foreclosures in the past that maybe or a property they owned, or, sometimes people forget that they are their name may be on a family home.
Yeah, I agree. You mentioned a few scenarios. Folks get a divorce. They don't change their paperwork. They don't realize the other person's still there. Separation. There's a bunch of different things that people think they put it off, and they realize they don't see the clerical mistake in the background.
Right, and they don't, and honestly, sometimes they don't really think about it, especially what happened in 2009. Sometimes some of the banks didn't foreclose for several years, so some of those folks are like, wait a minute, it's been over, it's been 10 years. Mm-hmm. Well, no, because the bank may not have foreclosed actually till 2015. So that is you want to make sure and just check, And but there's ways for you to go on, and you can actually ask for, you can actually look at public records and see and pull your name up, and you can see any, and that's what we do. We'll go into public records and we'll pull up, somebody's name and see if there's any foreclosure that's showing up. But individuals can do that. They can actually go in and check if they've ever had, because when that happens with somebody, people don't plan on ever, losing their home, and it's very emotional and very, it's very emotional to them. So just check.
So that information is something you definitely want to arm yourself with before you get involved in this kind of thing, because we always talk about the heartbreak of the deal falling through because of the number of different factors that folks don't realize, or once they get to that certain point, boy, I thought I was pre-qualified, but I guess I wasn't.
Well, we do run. So when we pre-approve somebody, we're just using the credit report. Now, when they actually go under contract, and actually we're actually changing this because as we've had this happen with student loans, we're actually doing, if somebody gives an inkling, because we're asking a lot of questions up front, and it typically does not happen, but we try to get it as early in the process. And people are very surprised sometimes because I don't think they intentionally do it. At least that's what I feel like. Right. I just think that it's so emotional. They don't really know what happened to, because once you move out of the house, especially in the old short sales or foreclosures or something like that, they just wanted to move on, right? Because it's a very emotional aspect. Sure. So they didn't follow up on it, but, it will show up somewhere. Yes. Always.
Right, so we're coming into a break here. We're speaking with Diane Vance from Fairway Independent Mortgage. We got Ray Hall here. One of the things we're going to talk about after the break is refi. People see an opportunity to refi. Boy, I must do it now. I can't wait. And maybe they haven't thought through. Diane has some ideas for you before you go for your second refi or your third. Some things that you may want to think about before you jump right into those deals. So when we come back, more of that stuff. Again, the Consumer Quarterback Show is here for you. We're here for you every day. Brandon, from 4 o'clock on the AM side. Of course, smart TV owners can always find us on Binge TV Network. Search Binge TV Networks for the Consumer Quarterback Show. And of course, Sunday we're on 102.5 as well. So come on back to the Consumer Quarterback Show. We got more information for you. ConsumerQuarterback.com.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
My friends, when choosing a listing agent to sell your home, their track record is critically important. Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of Platinum MVP Team at Keller Williams Real Estate. They're consistently rated by the MLS in the top 1% of all Tampa Bay realtors, and that's a big deal. Brandon and Lindsay are always among the top realtors in the state. Call them today at 813-750-0550.
Find them at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Selling commercial or residential property? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP Team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rhymes. Reach me at 813-670-7372 or platinummvpteam.com.
My name is James DeJerome, and I produce the Consumer Quarterback Show for Brandon Rhymes. The Consumer Quarterback Show is a team, a group of like-minded professionals who partner together to provide our audience sound advice, knowledge, and information to make them wiser consumers. We work with all types of business owners and aggressively promote our local economy. We're currently conducting interviews for our expert contributors. If you own a business or know someone who would benefit from the exposure our show provides, please contact us at 813-750-0550 or online at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
That's right. ConsumerQB.com is where you can find a list of all our partners, in addition to what's going on with Brandon and the Platinum MVP Team, and kind of everything starts and ends right there at ConsumerQB.com for the show. And one of the things Brandon always wants me to do is inject some positivity into your day. So we've got a feel-good story coming up at the end of the show about a newlywed couple. What do you do with all those flowers from your wedding? I got a creative idea for you that might be a good thing. In addition to that, of course, the sponsors, always a big part of the show. Golf Cart Depot is one of the favorite sponsors on the show now. Brandon wants to bring them up all the time because he loves this thing. if he had his way, he would drive the golf cart to work. It would never leave the golf cart. So the golf cart's good for the kids. You can put the dogs in it, run around. I mean, he loves the thing. So Discovery Golf Carts over at Tampa Clearwater, discoverygolfcars.com. They've got all makes and models, all different styles, all different power sources, everything you can think of in a golf cart. And man, there's so many models. I mean, this is just like buying a car these days. There's so many choices to make. So if you have the need or just want to check it out, Discovery Golf Carts, they do a great job. Okay, and of course, we always have some properties for you. Brandon Rhymes, owner of the Platinum MVP team and a Keller Williams agent. He's got a couple of properties I want to introduce to you. One is at 6128 Oak Ridge Avenue in Newport Richey. This is a full acre of land. 4-bedroom, 4-bath, waterfront home with bay access. Man, that's a beautiful, look at that vaulted ceilings, crown molding, really sharp-looking floors in there. The Platinum MVP team's got a great listing there for you at 6128 Oak Ridge Avenue in Newport Richey. Wow, that's good looking. What else you got for me, Johnny? 13204 Fawn Lily Drives in Riverview. That's 4,500 square feet, 6-bedroom, 5-bath, 3-car garage. Man, covered screen and lanai. It's got a little water out there. That is a beautiful property. Big yard. Man, that is sharp looking. Again, beautiful kitchen, granite, the whole 9 inside. New counters, everything. Bedrooms, really beautiful new flooring. Sharp looking address, 13204 Fawn Lily. All right. Going into the break, we had Diane Vance from Fairway Independent Mortgage. She was telling us a little bit about refinancing, when to refinance. We had this discussion before as she was discussing credit and how to maintain your credit. Ray Hall's in the studio with me here in our Salem Media Group studios, and we were discussing on the break also. You also mentioned you refied or thought you had a little story about something that happened to you in the refi world.
Yeah, this was back before I was even an appraiser. I was young. I had my first house, and the market kept going up.
Right.
And I kept refinancing. And
what do you say? Kept refinancing? How frequently? What do you think?
Oh man, I think I refied that house about 2-3 times.
You went through the same lender?
No, different lender.
Okay.
Different lender. No, I think it was 2 times. And unfortunately, I think the last time I refied it was maybe it was right before actually I became an appraiser because of the appraiser who came out to my house for that last refi.
Okay.
And that's how I met her. I talked to her, and then I got in the appraisal business. And that was about 2004. And we were way high at that point.
Right.
And to this day, I regret it.
Now, you had some grand plans for the money, I'm sure. You're going to build it into something else, or?
Yeah. Oh man, that was a long time ago. I don't even remember. That must have been 20 years ago.
Right. It's tempting. I was speaking with Diane. I thought, man, I could save a bunch of money. I want to do this right now. But then a week later, I should have waited a week.
And the thing is, debt is good. Leverage is good. Leverage it, but use it smart.
Right.
Don't be silly with it. Don't refi your house, take out all the cash, pay off all those credit cards you racked up, and then rack up the credit cards again.
Yeah.
You do that. People do that all the time, and I guarantee you're gonna get in trouble again. And the market's hot right now. So if your value may not be the same a year from now.
And again, I had this discussion with you because the first thing I thought of it before jumping into any kind of renovation. Say you have the opportunity to refi and you're going to put that money back into your home. It seems like a great investment. You still want to know what features or additions are going to be valuable to you in the market, because if you're not going to stay there forever, Ray can come in behind you and say, "Boy, I understand you just spent $30,000 on this and on the pool, and you added this, but the value of your comps in your neighborhood aren't going to bring this back."
Exactly, and a lot of people don't understand is that value is not the dollar for dollar match to what you spent for that feature.
Right.
I use myself as an example all the time. I live up in New Tampa. I built my house in 2015. It's fairly new, and I put a pool in. And my house did not increase in value by the cost of that pool. Mm-hmm. I have a pool because I like to swim, and I like to swim with my kids, so that's why I have it. So don't go crazy. I mean, a lot of times I go into a house where someone built it 2 years ago.
Right.
And they did $50,000 worth of stuff to it. And they think, well, it's worth $50,000 more now, right? Well, no. How do you know the potential buyer is going to pay the dollar for dollar?
Right.
'Cause remember, everything you just did is now used.
That's right.
It's like when you drive that new car off the lot. It's a used car now.
You're trying to get into the taste of the potential buyer. You don't really have that.
Right.
That's not a science,
No, and the way we do it as appraisers is I have to go and find a comp that maybe has that feature, compare it to other houses that are very similar in every other respect except for that feature, and was there a difference? A great example, I did a small old house in Zephyr Hills once, and they had just put in a the solar panels,
right.
Which for a larger house, a lot of times does help out. But this was a smaller house. It really didn't have high energy costs. Well, after I ran all my comps, I had one comp with the solar. And after all my other adjustments, it was my lowest adjusted comparable. So basically, I couldn't give any credit for that solar because I couldn't justify it with the market response to the purchase of a solar home.
So we talk all this time on the show about improvement, home improvement, and that home being that major asset. And you certainly want to improve the value and increase the value and maintain the value. But having knowledge of what features, that's the whole ballgame. You can't really just pump money blindly into the home and think you're going to get it back.
Exactly. That's called an over improvement.
Okay.
So I always tell people, don't be the only one in the neighborhood to have that. If you're in a neighborhood where everybody has Formica countertops, laminate cabinetry, everything, don't go out and put in quartz and Wolf appliances and high-end everything because if they can afford all that, they're going to want to go to the better neighborhood.
Right.
You don't want to build a house like you would find in Avila, maybe, down in an older neighborhood in a rural area because it's not the same.
It's all about predicting. You got to make a little bit of a prediction when you do this kind of stuff. So you can't just blindly. I have so many friends that are motivated to flip. Oh, I want to flip. I'm going to get into flipping houses. We got a guy who can do tile. And they just the first thing they want to do is rip it apart and put it back together again. Yeah. But you better make sure the value is going to be there. And you can do that by maybe putting it on the market and seeing what it's going to pull right now.
And I had a problem with that. I did an appraisal. They purchased an old home in Seminole Heights. They were renovating it. And I remember at the inspection, he said, so we're renovating this. You compare it to new houses, right? And I said, well, I have to do like pairs and this and that. And I could tell he was sweating it a little bit.
Yeah, some of those homes are 50 years old.
Yeah, or more. Some of them are 100.
Yeah.
Well, when I did the appraisal, the value they thought was brand new homes, except I had to use older homes that were renovated. And he overestimated that after repaired value, because that's what investors look at, by about $20,000, $30,000.
You can see the stress that Ray's under when he goes out to the house because remember he brought in a little clip from The Sopranos where they got after the appraiser because he didn't tell them what they wanted to hear. You can imagine investing $100,000 into something and then finding out, hey, you're not going to get that back.
And I've stopped answering my cell phone. I have an office phone. Call my office. Because you really, when I do an appraisal, you're not supposed to call me and talk to me about the value. You can't.
Okay, so the idea is you don't want to influence.
Right. I can't discuss it with. Well, no, it's not even influence. When an appraisal is ordered by the bank, and this is a popular misconception, that's the bank's appraisal. That's not your appraisal.
Are you privy to the findings or no?
Nope.
Okay.
And everybody always says, but I'm paying for it. I said, yes, you did. But the name on the appraisal as the client is the only person I can discuss it with. Let's say I bought you a car, James, and I put your name on the title, but I paid for it. I have no right to that car.
Because my name's on the title.
Because your name's on the title, even though I paid for it, but I gave it to you and your name's on the title. Whoever's name is the client on that appraisal, they have title to that appraisal.
So let me ask you, Ray, do folks double that, or how do they work around that if they want that information before?
They won't. Most likely, the bank's going to give it to you.
Okay.
You did pay for it. I've never heard of a bank not giving the appraisal unless the person didn't pay for it.
Okay.
So they're going to give it to you. Really, to get it, you would have to technically order an appraisal from me. I would have to start a new work file, and that would have to be a whole new assignment. I can't just give it to you.
Interesting. So there's some knowledge for you right there, folks. In the world of renovation, which everyone's putting money into their home. It seems like the safest investment for money. And during this COVID time, if you went to a home improvement store, Lowe's or Home Depot, it was gone. There was nothing there. Everybody was buying everything and working on their house. Yep. So I just encourage folks to get in touch with Ray. What's the best way, Ray?
Call my office, 813-452-5369. You can go to my website, rayhallappraisals.com.
Just ask a pro what the values are around your house and what makes sense for you in the renovation world, because you don't want to get upside down after putting all that money into the house.
Exactly. And this is the time of the market you got to be careful.
All right, coming into a break now. More with Diane and Ray when we come back. You can see that the Consumer Quarterback Show is all about trying to make you a smarter consumer. And to that end, we've got consumerqb.com. I just want to spend a minute to try to direct you folks there. If you're listening to the show on the radio, check us out online and get in touch with these folks. They're going out of their way to help you, and we think that they're definitely the kind of people you want to do business with. So the Consumer Quarterback Show rolls on in just a minute. More with Diane Vance, Fairway Independent Mortgage, and Ray Hall from Ray Hall Appraisals right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, guys, let me know when you want to proceed. Yeah. She's still there.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Thanks, Diane.
Sorry. I was on mute.
You learn how to do it. I heard Eli Gonzalez was on the show the other day. We heard his dogs barking and everything. I think Johnny's ready back there.
All righty, everybody, please stand by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
Give Brandon a call. He's got lots of properties for you. The Platinum MVP team, and he's with Keller Williams. Lots of properties in the area, even in this time of scarcity. If you're looking for commercial or residential real estate, he's got land as well. So check him out online and get in touch with Brandon for all your real estate transactions. Of course, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, we go out of our way to partner with folks that can provide some information for you and help us bring knowledge to the show and help your dollar go a little farther in the marketplace. One of the sponsors that I want to mention to you is the Bilmar Beach Resort. You know, Clyde Smith comes on the show all the time and helps us out with different specials that he offers everyone. But anytime you want to go to the Bilmar Beach Resort, it is an awesome place to go. You know, I'm most impressed because it's not a cookie cutter hotel. It's not a Hilton or a Radisson or someplace. As soon as you walk in, it's the same design everywhere you are. The Bilmar Beach Resort is a very unique hotel. It's a boutique hotel. You know, there's not another one like it. And you can see about 80% of the rooms face the ocean, and there's a ton going on down there. He's got sloppy joes and all kinds of activities on the beach itself. Huge beach. I mean, one of the biggest beaches around. So if you want to book, call Clyde directly. Just book directly through Clyde at the Bilmar Beach Resort for your staycation. I think it's a great place to go, and you will too. We've got some properties as well for you. I want to make sure that I'm doing that for Brandon because he's gone out of his way to put together a couple. 5510 South Elkins Ave right here in Tampa. It's zoned residential. It's a Ballast Point community. It's 12 minutes to downtown Tampa, 4 minutes from the Tampa Yacht Club. It's not going to last very long, folks, because of the location there at 5510 South Elkins Ave. You can build your own setup. That's a rare piece of land in the middle of Tampa there. You don't see that very often. What else you got for me, Johnny? All right, 520 George Street South in Tarpon Springs. This one's a 4-3. Second floor master suite. It's on the lake. It's got a separate mother-in-law suite and a fireplace. Man, that's a great-looking kitchen, too. Look at those floors. Nice ceilings in there. Really new cabinetry upgraded. And outside, we're right on the water, too. Really cool. Little dock. Man, 520 George Street South in Tarpon Springs. Give Brandon a call. He'll show you that one for sure. Okay, going into the break, we were talking with Diane and Ray was helping us out a little bit on renovation and what to look for and how to make sure you're not putting money into something you're not going to get back. And Diane had already shared a story with me about refi a little earlier in the show. Diane, you had was it your daughter or someone you knew that went into took a refi and did some renovation?
Well, actually, no. It was a customer that actually did that, and they wanted to renovate, but yet that what they wanted to do was they wanted to actually build onto their land, okay. And they wanted to refinance the current. It was a duplex, And I wanted them to think about, long term, what's your plan? And then she shared, I don't want to just refinance to refinance. I want people to realize if you're going to sell the property, if your plan is to move in, if you have children in college and you're going to downsize in the next 2 years or so, it may not be the wisest thing for you to refinance because it does cost closing costs to actually refinance. So you have to really weigh the interest to the interest. So you want to look at your interest that you're paying now, the interest that you're going to get, and you want to divide that out by the closing costs, because then you're going to know. I have so many people calling me and they're thinking that, I should refinance just because the interest rates are low. Well, when we actually figure it out, they may be making a big change in the next few years and may be taking them 4 or 5 years to recoup the closing costs. So it just doesn't make sense.
Now, Diane, when we see all these folks out there offering no closing costs, when you say we're going to look at the whole deal, Diane means you better just look at the whole deal. I mean, add up all your payments, because somewhere those closing costs are tucked in there.
Yes, and most of the time on the no closing costs, it's either now when they're talking about no closing costs, they're not talking about the standard closing costs. They're talking about the lender fees. They're not talking about you have to pay the doc stamps, intangible tax in the state of Florida, title insurance. But if they are, they're either rolling it into the mortgage or they're in the new mortgage, or they're actually putting it in where it's a lender credit for those closing costs where your interest rate is higher. So you are paying them somewhere. So it really depends on what's your plan, how long are you going to stay in the home. I mean, I have so many people that, they maybe purchased the home last year and Ray knows this. I mean, they may put down 3 or 5%, and there may not be enough equity in the house in this short period of time to actually, it may have went up maybe 4% or 5%, but it's not enough to actually roll in your closing costs. So you want to really, think about it and really discuss it and look at it and get a knowledgeable lender that is not there just to refinance. I look at all aspects. My team looks at all the aspects because we want to make sure it's the right thing for the person.
You can imagine the temptation. You're out there and you've got an opportunity. You think you're going to lower your payment. That monthly payment number looks lower to you. Wow, that's attractive. I really want to do that. But you better add up all your payments and figure out where they're. I mean, very few people are going to take money off the table for you.
Oh yeah, where? Yeah, that's true. Where is your break even? What's your break even? Are you planning on staying in that house for your break even? And I'm so glad that Ray talked about people adding pools and things like that. A lot of times, absolutely, we see it all the time. They'll renovate their kitchen and things like that. And it's great they've renovated and it looks beautiful, and maybe for the next buyer it's going to be very attractive, but it may have helped. It does help somewhat, but and he's absolutely right. Dollar for dollar, it doesn't always help depending on the neighborhood you live in. So, and we do actually have there is a form that the customer signs that they do want the appraisal or they don't want the appraisal, and we do send the appraisal to the customer automatically in our company. We do send it. Okay. But Ray's absolutely right. So I'm glad that he discussed all of those things on here, because again, you may think you've renovated your house and you think that it's worth this much, and you might be surprised. And yes, we are not allowed to call the appraiser either. Matter of fact, we actually have to order it through a third party vendor that actually orders the appraisal, deals with the appraiser, because we don't want to have to. There's certain rules that we don't want to influence the value. I guess that's the best way, because appraisers, it used to be they felt stressed to come in at value.
Now, we know Ray has the highest ethics and morals, so no one's going to influence him.
Yeah, I know.
Ray, has anyone ever tried to maybe point to their pocket and had a dollar bill sticking out of their upper pocket?
Surprisingly enough, no. I've never been offered a bribe.
They don't pay him to do it. They just badger him to do it.
They do. I've gotten very angry phone calls.
I can imagine.
I remember one, it was a house. It hadn't been touched since it was constructed maybe in the early 90s. It was on the golf course. And they went online, punched in their address. It said it was worth a number. I came in lower, And when I said, well, those houses at that price point are completely renovated. And his response was, well, I shouldn't have to fix stuff that's not broken to have value in my house. And I had to tell him, in your neighborhood, yes, you do, actually.
That's the concept of comps. The idea is relative to your neighborhood, right?
And what people don't understand is we don't make it up. I've got to support it. So a lot of times people... And I love when I go through the house and they're like, well, we just resawed it a year ago. That's got to put value on it. Actually, no, it really doesn't. And it was funny because it just happened recently. I went out and there's weeds everywhere. And I'm like, well, you got to get the lawn service in here too.
Right.
But people just look at everything they do and like, well, that's value, that's value, that's value. No, I don't have a list of 5,000 little items in a house that's value.
You can't just pull out your receipts and add them up and say, here's the new cost of the home.
Exactly. I wish you could, because my God, my house would be worth $1 million.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's not.
Everybody always thinks their house is worth more than it actually is, including myself.
I can imagine. Like it's something you look at every day. So you're like, I just fixed. Look at how great this. It occurs to you right away. Look at how value. Look how nice.
And I'm the hardest on my house. It was funny because I at one point I was looking to refinance, and they said, well, what do you think it's worth? And I told them, and our model's saying it's like $40,000 more than you're saying. I'm like, no.
I wanted to ask you that, Ray. So you come back with a number, you do your job, and you provide the information. Then do they hire another guy to come in and comes in lower, and then they try to split the difference or point you out as the high bid or something like that?
It depends. There's different. They can do what's called a reconsideration of value, so they can actually
really help.
Sometimes it does. I mean, if you show me a good comp,
I know, that's what I'm saying. You would have usually, the appraiser typically would have used those comps. They're using the best comps they can find, typically.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So if you get a report back and the houses used in the comps are very distant or far or extreme rare locations, it's a red flag that there's something going on or someone's reaching for value.
Oh, yeah. And I had it once. I remember the lender came back. And they said, well, all these comps are in the neighborhood. And then I had to go back to the lender and say, well, they're all superior. And now, for a while in my career, I worked for JP Morgan Chase as a review appraiser.
Okay.
And my job was to discuss appraisal issues with Fannie Mae. So I had to know their Fannie Mae seller's guide very, very well. And they came back to me with a copy of the seller's guide saying, no, Fannie Mae says you can do this. And I said, well, you're giving me one sentence. It says I can use distant comps if there's nothing in the neighborhood. I said, you're asking me to ignore 5 comparables within 2 blocks that show me it's not worth it. And I've lost clients because I wouldn't budge on that, because at the end of the day, it's not worth my career and losing my license for an appraisal that's a few $100.
I didn't even consider that, Ray. So there's a governing body out there that's going to look at your report and say it's way out of bounds.
Absolutely.
I could get reported to the state. Now, in case you're listening and you're thinking you're going to report an appraiser for having a bad value, they don't look at that.
Okay.
I've had people accuse me, do that. But if I was to say get to that value by using bad comps, ignoring what's really in the market, sure, that's possible that they could go to the state, and I would have to go and explain myself.
It would normally be, Ray, that you would inflate the comps, and you didn't. And that's normally when the state would get involved, right? So if a house goes into foreclosure, and you've inflated your comps, and they come in and they try to sell it at market value, I know you wouldn't do this, but I mean, and I don't know of any appraisers that do this now, but that's the whole point of governing the appraisers from way back when, was because, and honestly, we all know that our appraisers know what they're doing. We are not appraisers as lenders. So, a lot of times we'll go back to the listing agent and say, hey, why did you list this property at this value? Tell the appraiser why, what comps did you have to actually list this property? And, but typically if we've ever ordered another appraisal, which we don't typically do, if we ever have, it's amazing. It comes in within 2 or 3%.
Right.
It's so close. It's so close. It's never, the value that it is. And, it is what it is. We try to discourage people from actually going to the reconsideration. They can do it. It's allowed. But my thing is that we're going back to the appraiser, and if he thought he could use these comps, he would have used these comps.
Right. Hey, Ray, have you ever been in a real rural area where there's just not that many people living close to each other, so that you've got to go out quite a ways?
Yeah. Here's one. I don't know if you're familiar with Polk County, but I just did a property in Frostproof.
Okay.
Frostproof is look up nowhere on the map. That's Frostproof.
I actually did a loan at Frostproof, but I had no idea there was a city in that.
Exactly. So it's now, not only did I have a house on a lake, but I had a house on a lake with an airplane hangar and access to a runway.
Wow, so very unique.
Yeah. So my comps were all over. So I had lake comps. I had to find some of the airport communities in Polk County.
Pretty rare.
There's about 2 or 3.
Okay.
Pull a comp from there.
Wow.
And, now if you first glanced at the appraisal, you'd be like, why did he put this comp in there? Look at these adjustments. Sure. But it was something I had to do to, bracket all the features of the house and justify the marketability of these features.
All right, so you can see the challenges out there when you're getting an appraisal done. That's Ray Hall, Ray the appraiser. Ray, what's your site again?
RayHallAppraisals.com.
Okay, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about all this stuff. Just a way to renovate and use your refinance money smartly, and make sure that you're taking advantage of all the information that our show can give you before you jump into that. And of course, our feel-good story. You go to these weddings and you see these beautiful floral arrangements. It's a shame that when you leave, they just throw them in the trash. So I got an idea for you and a little story about a couple who decided to do something else. Come on back and hear something positive on the Consumer Quarterback Show.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
This is Diane Vance with Fairway Independent Mortgage, a member of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Please give me a call for any of your mortgage needs. We do all sorts of loans. If you would like information on a mortgage, you can text me or call me at 727-647-8199. I will take care of all your mortgage needs. Go to my website at dianevance.com.
Ian Beckles here with my man Brandon Rhymes, a.k.a. the real estate quarterback. Brandon, what's happening with the market?
Thanks, Ian. We are in a low inventory market, so any of our listeners are homeowners and would like a free comparable market analysis or a 2.5% listing, we will honor this for the first 3 listeners who call or text in 813-773-1253. Free CMA and a 2.5% real estate listing at 813-773-1253. Check out consumerqb.com. Selling commercial or residential property? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rhymes. Reach me at 813-670-7372 or platinummvpteam.com.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
That's right. ConsumerQB.com is the home of the Consumer Quarterback Show. You can find our sponsors, our partners, any news coming up. Of course, Brandon, being a realtor on the Keller Williams team and owner of Platinum MVP Realty, has properties as well. One of the sponsors that Brandon has kind of worked to deal with as far as the real estate side is Brothers Easy Moving. When you get into a real estate deal, you're going to need to move. Folks have to move in, move out, and this company has really decided that they're going to be our sponsor on the show. They moved Brandon personally, and I told you I went over there to help, and it was like 8 o'clock at night. These guys are moving furniture in the house. I was like, man, what a dedicated staff and crew these guys are. And then they do local, long distance. Anytime you need a move, Brothers Easy Moving, they've proven their value to us without a doubt. So get in touch with them anytime you have a move coming up. And I got a property for you. We got one more property we're going to tell you about here on the show today. And Johnny's going to throw it up for me from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. 6417 Yvette Drive in Hudson. It's a 2-2 deep saltwater canal. So I like to fish. So that would be ideal for me right there. So maybe this Christmas, instead of a bonus, Brandon can let me have 6417 Yvette Drive. You don't think so? Okay, so Gulf, man, what a beautiful looking home. And again, like I said, if you're a fisherman, that's the one for you. 6470 Vet Drive in Hudson. All right, so before the break, we were talking to Ray and Diane. And of course, we always tell you something positive here on the show. So we got a feel-good story for you. I got one about folks with their wedding flowers. You go to these weddings and these beautiful floral arrangements. And right as soon as the wedding's over, they have nothing to do with them. Well, this couple decided that they were going to change that. So a newlywed couple personally delivered dozens of floral arrangements from their wedding to lift the spirits of anyone going through hard times. So after Chance and Hannah Buckner married on September 19, the thought of tossing out the flowers didn't sit well with Hannah. She put out a call on Facebook, says, "We want to deliver these flowers to anyone needing a lift in their spirits. Anyone knows someone going through a tough time, an elderly person, disabled person, someone that's alone on the street. If you talk to them occasionally, just message me their address and I will deliver a flower arrangement to them with an encouraging note." Well, the post received hundreds of comments and private messages from people nominating others, including patients battling COVID, cancer, recent losses, a teacher going through a rough patch, anyone feeling lonely. Well, the couple spent 6 hours delivering those flowers to about 20 locations near San Angelo, Texas. It says, "We delivered to numerous loved ones, friends, and coworkers of the people in the community, all going through different things in their life. We had a few people cry, got some hugs, and many, many thank yous." One lady said, "Boy, getting these flowers, we just want to spread the joy to others, and it was really all worth it." So just an idea for folks out there, just a way to spread a little more love and joy in the world. And after all, you're not going to use them anymore. And some people love getting flowers. So I myself thought when I saw the bill for flowers at a wedding, I was stunned at how much people spend on flowers. So it's a shame to throw them away. All right, so we're finishing up the show today with Ray and Diane, and I just wanted to give everybody a chance to make their final points again. So, Diane, I want to go back to you. We talked today about the importance of knowing when to refi, but also you opened the show with a little more of a detailed explanation for us on when folks want to get their mortgages set up for their home, what they have to do.
Oh, you mean for the actual for refinancing, or just in general?
Well, I remember when we started the show, one of the things that you had a little bit of a discussion with me about was we talked about the barriers to entry. We always do about getting pre-qualified and everything like that.
Oh yeah.
The credit report is critical for folks.
Oh, absolutely. And I wanted to give people, because that secured credit card that I was talking about is called Sky Visa. And it is actual Visa, and there is no credit check or anything like that. It is a secured credit card, but it comes through as a Visa, not a debit card, and not a prepaid card. So it is actually a Visa card that will actually be put on the actual credit bureau. So yes, it is so important to get started and actually just not keep. If you pay cash for everything and you don't ever have credit, then you won't be able to build a credit report.
Yeah.
And it is very important to actually have that so that you get a better credit score or better interest rate. The higher the credit score, the better the interest rate is. So I had mentioned that we could build a credit, report for somebody by using their rent and things like that. But that's at the minimum. So your interest rate is always going to be higher than if you would have built the credit by the things that I was talking about, by having a credit card and, keeping it, low and things like that. So,
well, I tell you, it was just counterintuitive to me. When I first thought, I thought, man, I'm not going to use this credit card ever. I'm going to have the best credit. Wait till I need to buy a house. They're going to see that I have no debt whatsoever. And it was the exact opposite. So again, I thought I knew what I was doing, and I was doing the exactly wrong thing.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that's very normal. I mean, we've all taught our children don't use don't use a lot of credit, and it's very normal for people to think that. But you are correct. But when you're going for a loan, you have to think about, okay, somebody's going to give me a $200,000 loan, but if I can't show that I just have a credit card that's always a zero balance, then I don't know how do I know they can actually afford a $200,000 loan, and actually, there's no history.
Right. And then the other point you made was about the student loans. Be aware of what your student loan situation is, even if you took one a long time ago.
Oh, yes. We've had that come up quite often. Go in the public records, actually do a search on yourself. And if you've had a student loan, make sure, call the student loan, check your standings. It may actually not show up on your credit report anymore, but it still may be out there. And if you didn't pay it for a period of time or at all, and you thought that it just dropped off, no, it's there in the history, and they will show you should default. You cannot get a loan with a defaulted student loan.
And one of the things,
it's a federal debt.
Yeah, federal. That was what I was going to make that point.
Yeah.
You mentioned that it was a federal debt, and that was part of the issue.
Correct. There is a question on the declarations of the loan application. Says, have you ever been delinquent on a federal debt?
Okay.
And a student loan is considered a federal debt, so know the standing of your student loan.
Yeah.
I've had quite surprises recently. I think because of COVID, they went in and did forbearance on student loans, and I think they brought up a lot of the ones that were actually, some of them were like 15 years old. So, 12, 15 years old. It didn't show up on the credit report anymore, but it sure was there.
Okay. All right, Ray Hall. Ray, we're coming down to the end of the show here. I want to give you a chance to kind of summarize. You helped us a little bit about comps and what they are and how folks, they think they refi and pull some money out and renovate their home. They're not necessarily going to get that value back dollar for dollar. There's the factors that go into what exactly creates value.
Exactly. You don't want to, shall we say, keep up with the Joneses. Don't pass them.
Okay.
You don't want to over-improve your house, and don't go into any kind of renovation thinking that the money you spend is putting that value directly back into the house, because that's not the case. Now, it's something you can do if you really want to know and you're looking to get that value. You can hire an appraiser and ask them to do an after-repaired value on your house. Ask what kind of appraisals
you
they
offer
can
two
offer.
types, right, Ray?
Sure. I offer a lot of different types of appraisals. I've helped investors out before and gave them the after repaired value so that they can go into that investment knowing what at that point what they had to pay for
Okay.
it. So there's different ways we can help. Anything value related, an appraiser can help you with it. So reach out, talk to them, have a discussion, and see how we can help you.
Best way to get in touch with Ray Hall?
813-452-5369 or rayhallappraisals.com.
Okay, another great show. Thank you so much to Diane Vance from Fairway Independent Mortgage, Ray Hall from Ray Hall Appraisals for coming on and helping us become better consumers. I want to thank Brandon for giving me the opportunity to sit in his chair, and I want you all to create some positivity for each other. Do something good and do your random act of kindness like Brandon tells you to do. Create some positivity in your environment, and check us out online at consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for The Consumer Quarterback.